Hello everyone, and welcome to the SIG Docs APAC friendly meeting, which we have every month. And as with every meeting under the Kubernetes project, this is also governed by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to be excellent to one another, be nice to one another, and refrain from the use of any harmful or abusive language. So now that we have the code of conduct and the necessary salutations out of the way, I am going to start sharing my screen for the agenda. I'll also drop the agenda in the chat and Sriram, since you're the only one today here, I would request that if there's anybody who joins in later on, please share the agenda with them as well so that they can sort of, enter their names or any sort of, agenda items on it. I have entered it in right now, but if people join in later, request you to do so. With that, I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. All right. So there are no new contributors today because there's just the two of us, me and Sriram. We're gonna go through the reminders and updates for this meeting. First up, due to a miss on our part, there is no PR Wrangler for this week, unfortunately. So we're all doing our bit in reviewing and approving PRs. But next week we have Natalie as the PR Wrangler, and the week after that, again there'll be nobody because it's KubeCon NA, and a lot of us are going to be there in person. So if you're an approver, if you've signed up for PR Wrangler shifts, make sure you know about your scheduled shifts by checking out the link in the agenda documentation. And if you want to understand how the reviewing and approving process works, because that's pretty much the next step on the contributor ladder after being just a contributor, we have an option to actually shadow the PR Wrangler for every week. And if that is something of interest, please consider signing up for the shadow program. And you can sign up for the shadow program by voicing out your intent on the SIGDocs Slack channel, and or reaching out to one of the leads to actually sign up and let them know that you're interested in shadowing XYZ person for ABC week. So those are the two ways. Though I would highly recommend doing so publicly because it's great for accountability from the contributor perspective as well as from the um, actually entering it into the schedule perspective for the leads and the co-chairs. So make sure you do that. And I will come to the issue wrangler in a bit, but if you notice a code of conduct violation, like I mentioned before, if you notice any harassing or abusive language being used, or even if it's just a case of not very great behavior toward a contributor or a maintainer, I would highly recommend on behalf of the SIGDocs leadership that you report it immediately to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct Committee. We have a mechanism in place to reach the committee by email at conduct@kubernetes.io. Your anonymity, rest assured, will be protected. So that's the housekeeping items. Those are the housekeeping items for today. I'm going to take a pause here and see if anybody on the call, that's just Sriram as of now, has doubts about it. Or else we can move with the next set of agenda items.
Yeah, you should note set up against.
All right. So on the next, one of the next items in our agenda is the release team updates. Since this is largely unfriendly for the people who are actually on the release team, except maybe like a handful, there is no update from them yet, but I have asked them to, um, enter in their updates, so that we have a record of all the issues or PRs or any other concerns that need our um, attention from a reviewing or an approval perspective. So Kat and Carol, who are the docs and comms leads, or their shadows, will be making an entry later in the day. Previously, the updates were yellow and green. That was last week, and we look forward to seeing their updates for this week and seeing if there is anything that requires our attention. Sriram, anything that you want to comment here or add on?
I'm not entirely sure of the doc and the com status, but code freeze is happening next week, and I can see that like we are on track for all the KIPs. I believe almost all the KIPs have been reached out to regarding their
Okay.
status and documentation.
Okay, that's great. But I'll wait for an official status from Kat and Carol, because I
Yep.
realized that there's also a not midweek, sorry, mid-cycle deprecations and removals blog that needs to be going out sometime soon. And we're seeking feedback on that, but that's actually the next agenda item. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself there.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we'll wait for the updates from them and see if there are any burning issues. So yeah, with that, we're gonna move on to the issues in PRs. So this was there in the last week as well. So I I'm not single-handedly working on this, but um, Netlify has deprecated asset that we need to sort of disable on our end, and very few people have the privilege to do that as owners or collaborators on Netlify. I will be working on disabling that asset optimization feature, and then Gaurav and I will be tagging team to actually figure out what needs to be done further in order to sort of account for that deprecated feature, because we still need it. However, Netlify is disabling it from our side and from their side, sorry. So we need to figure out what needs to be done from the static side generator perspective, or from inbuilt controls within Netlify if they have provided any alternatives. So that's something that we're tagging team on, and we'll be getting through it in the next couple of weeks. That's pretty much the only PR slash issue that currently is highlighted. Are there any others? I know that Tim has mentioned one, and around HPAs, and Shriram, you've kindly volunteered to work on that yesterday. So, do you want to talk a bit about it, or have you
Yeah,
not had the time? Yeah, I'm not gonna
uh,
put you on the spot here, but yeah.
yeah, I was planning to like ask about that in this call anyway. So yeah, I guess I'll add it to the issue and PR list here. But
Yeah,
this
sure.
particular issue seems to be uh, wait, let me just pull that up. Yeah, it seems to be like an epic issue. I'm not sure what what like such issues are called in SIG docs,
Okay,
but
there are multiple tasks on the issue.
right,
Yes, that is
right,
that is what you mean.
yep,
Per my understanding, and obviously, you can seek further clarification from Tim because he's the one who's flagged it. Per my understanding of the issue that has been flagged, um, you can basically open a specific issue in relation to like one of the bits that you think would be an improvement, like with your suggestion on how you could improve one of the bits in this particular issue. So for example, let me open it up. All right. So this is a feature request clearly, and there are different things here. Just let me see. Let me see where it has come to. Okay, and right. Yeah, this is a long history one. Right. So, we're looking to better our horizontal HPA and VPA docs, to be really honest. The thing is, there are multiple facets to this. Maybe Tim has a very specific vision on what needs to be done. So, it'll be best to check with him, but the overall gist of it is to actually have like different um, templates for the scaling topics. So I think we do have like HPA. I'm not very sure. I'm just going to check the history.
Yeah.
So once again, so there is a requirement for um, HPA and VPA to be added as concepts per what Tim has mentioned here, and as glossary terms. So that is one thing that you can probably attempt, and there are other tutorials are out of question at this point, probably like interactive tutorials anyway. So all of these things that are mentioned, like a concept, a task, if Tim has a specific vision for any of this in terms of what needs to be more clear, you can check in with him and check the entire concept, whatever is explained as HPA or VPA, for clarity, and see if it's making sense given the current Kubernetes version.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, changes happen all the time, feature changes happen all the time. So, you need to ensure that the information out there is relevant. So those are the two broad things that I can think of. And yeah, so these are like the topics suggested here are those that are probably existing, and maybe you need to check them for accuracy. That may be like one sub issue. Having like concept concepts and glossary items can be another issue, sub issue. So there are a bunch of things that we need, but if there is anything more, like if you can check in with them if there's anything that's more that's of more priority as compared to the others, so that we can surface up these particular docs, because I don't think we have the glossary items, but I could be completely wrong about this. I'm not like giving out a statement.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the gist of it. Did I make sense? I don't want to like go on, but did it make sense?
Yeah, I guess I got a starting with a point to start with. So I guess I'll go through like all the points that have been discussed. So I thought maybe the issue would like require me to like create sub issues and get them triaged first. But then I guess it makes like sense to like first reach out in this particular issue itself and like talk with him and
Yeah,
what he expects out of it, and then like,
it's not
once that
expectation per se. So there are a lot of moving parts here. There is like checking for accuracy, there is updating of existing docs based on like the accuracy as well. Then there's obviously adding of new docs in very specific sections. So is there something of more priority, because we do know that like a lot of people actually stumble onto the concept section, or like when you go as like a very as a beginner to entire Kubernetes, you would probably go through the concepts and the tasks first as compared to maybe a deep dive. So do you want that done first, or do you want this done? So there could be a vision that Tim has, and I would recommend checking in with him so that you have more clarity on what needs to be tackled first. But I'm sure he's going to say that, whatever is like, whatever is more comfortable for you, you pick that up. But I'd
Mhm.
recommend talking to him nevertheless. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely is. Thank you.
All right. So I'm just going to enter this here as well. All right. Anything else, Sriram, that you want to bring up or bubble up in part as part of the issues and PR section?
No, I'm good.
All right. So now we move on to the next agenda item, which is discussion points and questions. And these are primarily just going to be announcements from my side, because like, I mean, if there are, obviously there are like any questions or anything, you can let me know. But mostly it's very clear what it is about. So first up we have the mid-cycle deprecations and removals block draft, that's being worked on by the release team. I've included the link here. um, any comments, suggestions, or feedback that you may have, please feel free to chime in. Especially if you're already working on the release team, but others are also very much welcome. Please don't think of it as only for the release team. This is what we put out as a community. So if there are any specific um, wording changes, or if there are any specific inclusions that you need to make, that you can think of, that needs to make its way into the draft, please chime in. And I'm sure we can use all the helping hands that we can get with regard to this. So I'm gonna pause there. Is there any question around this? Like, I've included the link, but any questions around this in general?
I don't have anything right now. I guess I might once I go through the block draft.
Yeah, sure.
So,
And like, you can, like, a hackmd file at this point. I don't think there's a PR yet, but yeah, we would like for as many eyes to take a look at it as possible. uh so moving on to the next point. So thanks to Haripriya, we have the documentation for the issue wrangler role finally in place, which means that we can move on to our next step, which is adding a wiki entry and sending out a call for nominations. This was done a couple of days back, and the mail should be in your inboxes if you are subscribed to the mailing list. So The role is expected to start from 2024. Like the staffing for the role is starting 2024, and the expectation is that the person who is staffing this role or resuming this role is already a Kubernetes org member, and should have 15 or more contributions, a certain percentage of which should be to the Kubernetes docs. um, Please note, I've mentioned this in the email as well, that we will not be sponsoring memberships for this particular role. We explicitly want members who have already contributed, because this role is to sort of bridge the gap between a contributor and a reviewer and then an approver. So uh, it's to give you more visibility and a little more responsibility within the community, and to also familiarize you with the other processes within the community. So we will not be sponsoring organizational memberships for this one. And also, please note that you need to read the documentation and fulfill all the other requirement criteria as well. I've mentioned the most important ones, but also, yeah, please read through the documentation and let us know um, if you have any questions or concerns around this. It would really help us help you better if you're considering nominating yourself. And with that, I will take a pause and see if anybody, that is Sriram, has any questions.
Yeah, not really. I'm assuming the issue wrangler role would also have, like, I couldn't find it now, but it would eventually get its own shadow, similar to the
Yeah,
PR wrangler program.
it's eventually, yes, slotted to have a shadow program, but first we need to ensure that the role in itself is fully fleshed out before we actually have a shadow. We don't like, at least the vision is that it should assist, and causing chaos is not going to help with the assistance bit. So
Right.
first, fleshing out the role in its entirety and having proper documentation around it, and trialing it for a period of a couple of months is going to be more helpful than actually you know sh- using a shadow program and causing overall chaos. So if it doesn't, it's almost close to the PR Wrangler program, but it's also more less responsibility, if I may say so, because you do not have to explicitly approve and review PRs. What you have to do is tag incoming issues and triage incoming issues to ascertain if they are supposed to be relevant to the Kubernetes website repository. Like, you have to ascertain if they are relevant to be worked on when it comes to the documentation, and whether the priority needs to be long term, or if it needs to go to the backlog, or it needs to be frozen for a bit in terms of the life cycle, because there's no immediate need for it to be done. So those are the kinds of things that you can expect around the role. And it's a great step once you've actually made a few contributions to Kubernetes, to assume this role, so that you have a better feel of what it would be like to be an approver and a reviewer as well, because this is envisioned as that small step in between those, in between the contributor and the reviewer roles. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. uh so yeah, so that's about the issue wrangler role. Next one up is it's there's not publicizing, but I'm socializing this so that people tune in, or people actually have questions if y'all submit. um but there will be a SIG Docs maintainer talk by Natalie and myself, and this will be recorded for later viewing and should be on YouTube a month ish after KubeCon. And for those who are in person, please, if y'all can make it, that'd be great. It's on the last day. Um, and we also will be at a sick meet and greet after the talk. So if you can't catch us at the talk, please do make your way to the meet and greet, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have around contributing to talks or how we maintain the dogs, etc. So yeah, that's pretty much it from like the maintainers talk perspective. That's the update. um I don't foresee questions, but I'm still gonna pause and see if Sriram has any questions.
No, I don't have this.
All right, and the last bit is around um doc sprint at KubeCon NA, and this will be a part of the contributor summit, and we are going to be talking about using AI in SIG docs, and the reason is the history behind this is that uh, Linux Foundation, which is like the mothership of CNCF and everybody else here in the cloud native side, had reached out to us to understand if we wanted to integrate AI to into the documentation for better user experience. And there has been an or discussion ongoing for quite some time to get more focus on that. um, we are going to have like this topic actually widely socialized at the doc sprint as well, and hopefully we can get back to the rest of y'all with some updates around this issue once we've discussed it further. But if you have any thoughts around this matter, please make sure you actually chime in on this discussion, because I think that's still open. Yep, there is this discussion item, and yeah, I think you should be able to sort of related issue. Sorry, not related issue, related discussion item. So y'all should be able to chime in if y'all have any strong thoughts or opinions about this issue. And with that, yeah, I think we're done with all the agenda items for today. And Sriram, if you have anything to share, please let us know, or else we can punt the call.
Yeah, the only item that I had was the auto scaling issue, but that we already discussed. So yeah, I don't have anything else.
All right, then. I think we can call it a day. And if you all have any updates or concerns or burning issues, since there's no PR wrangler for this week due to miss on our part, please make sure you flag whatever PRs or issues that need attention on the SIGDoc Slack channel. We'd be happy to take a look as and when possible. But also, please keep in mind that we work globally. Uh, the entire team is global. The entire contributor, reviewer, and approver base is global. So we might not be able to get back to you instantly, but we will get to it as soon as we can. So that's a promise. And with that, I think we're good to punt this call and give Sriram 26 minutes of his day if my math is right. And yeah, we will see you around on another edition of this call. And if you're headed to KubeCon NA, please make sure you stop by and say hello, or and attend our session and the contributor summit, of course. But yeah, till next time then. Bye.